Kahala Yahweh Bahasham Yavashai Bahasham Makakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of Ruel. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this, wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. So this is yet another quick one. You see the title, and this dude does a lot of good, work of exposing the white lies, so to speak, of history. But here's the thing that they most of them have in common here. Once they start talking anything scripture related, they go off. If they stick to the secular history, everything's cool. But then they start to go off, and I don't really know. It's not. I don't think it's malicious intent. It's just they don't know. But luckily we got some scriptures we can go through, and we'll clear up what needs to be cleared up. So let's see what he got to say. You'll see. Here we go.
This was not white. He was about as white as a bag of cumin from a Damascus spice market.
And before we even go into, understand that black and white are not races. These are social constructs, okay? And if you ever, get into some sort of debate, you need to establish that, in some sort of debate about the truth, all right? When you go to defend the Bible, you have already lost if you, and not that it's a win or a lose, but you've already, started off on the wrong foot if you subscribe to black and white, right? There is Esau and there is Jacob, okay? There are different shades of brown, and there are different shades of red, okay? So Elder Malcolm does has an extensive catalog, all right? A huge library of work. Elder Malcolm of the Chicago camp, GMS Maccabean Spirit, and Critical Race Historical Facts. I'll link the playlist. I have a learn and study playlist. You can scroll through that. I think there's over 1,300 videos in it, and you'll see those if you scroll through. Save it to yourself, or save it to your own playlist or whatever. But anyway, yeah. So now that small portion is laid, because there's more to come on here that we're going to unpack. But let's go. Let's let him finish. I'm going to try to let him get through the entire thing without stopping it, and then we'll get our scriptures.
The pasty, blue-eyed, soft-haired Jesus you see in Renaissance painting, church windows, and conservative Facebook memes is nothing more than a colonial fever dream. A Eurocentric wet fantasy, designed to make the Son of God look like a Habsburg prince instead of the brown-skinned anti-imperialist that he actually was. If Jesus of Nazareth existed as a historical figure, which most historians agree that he did, he was a first-century Palestinian Jew.
Right here is where we can stop it, okay? Now, they go into the history, but even still, this history is, this is an Edomite version. This is not the full truth here, okay? So let's get a couple things in Revelation, especially in Revelation 2. We need, yeah. Let's go to 2. Fine brass, feet like unto fine brass. So, we can talk about that, right? We understand. Everybody understands that whom the world ignorantly refers to as Jesus, whose name is Yahushai, was a so-called, if you use black, make sure you say so-called black man. He would look, well, I can't say like me, I'm not dark enough. But, you're a dark-skinned brother with a fro or a small fro and a beard, all right? Woolly hair, like Negroes have. 2 and where we at? Okay, and this is Yahushua talking to the churches. And if we go a little farther down, he has some issues with the church at Thyatira, I think it's called. Yes, so we'll start here at 18. Yeah. And unto the angels of the church at Thyatira, write these things. dang it, right. These things saith the Son of Power, who hath eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like unto fine brass, right? And there's another scripture that goes in talking about that was brass that was burned in the fire, all right? A dark brown man, okay? But I got to be quick, but we're also going to attack that whole Palestinian Jew trope, or that thing, okay? Because they will say, or they'll say that so-called Jesus was Middle Eastern. First of all, there's no such nationality as Middle Eastern. It is Asia Minor okay, and that's what I'm saying about throwing off those so the Edomites pseudoscience, the things that he made up. There's no Middle Eastern, and there is no end of any of the nations, okay? But I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to try to keep it. Okay, verse 19. Actually, no. So we got the feet unto fine brass, because there's something else here that we see even to this day. Verse 26 and 20. There we go. Speaking on imperialism. Actually, damn. You know what? Okay, let me finish reading. Now it's too much coming to me at once, but hey, that's a good thing. We'll read 20. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou servest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and seduce my servants to commit fornication and eat things sacrificed unto idols, right? So, again, you have that Jezebel here, which is a representation of somebody who is rebellious. Now, that goes into, which we will do a part 2, antinomianism, or anti in the Greek meaning against, and then nomos or namos, law. So, going against the laws of the Lord. And then you also have on the other spectrum, those who are all about the law, who deny Yahushua. You even have that even to today. There's nothing new under the sun. You saw it then in the time where Yahushua walked the earth, and a little bit after, and then, because you had the Serapis Christus cult, okay, that was among the Hamashiachim, okay, but you had that, and then you had the Pharisees and the Sadducees and those who were strictly about the law and against the Yahushua. So, like I said, you have all of these things, which I'm getting off, goodness. Okay, we're going to have to do a part 2 here. We're going to have to go into the antinomianism, but let me try and make an attempt to get back on track here, all right? He said he was an anti-imperialist. So when you think of imperialism, let's see what he says. Anti-imperial. All right. In political science and international relationship is opposition to imperialism or neo-colonialism. All right. So going around, basically when you hear imperialism, think of these Edomites getting control of the world by way of the British Empire, the Dutch, the Spaniards, how they all went around and divvied up, especially in the continent of Africa, or the land of Ham, how they divvied up that entire land amongst themselves. Manifest destiny, okay, or even what you have now, with the people in the land that don't belong there, that say they are JOOS and are not. That's what you have. That is imperialism. Now, the scriptures do tell you that Yahushua will come and he will put down these nations, but there is, I guess you can call it, I think in order for it to be, and this is me speaking as a man, I think in order for it to be imperialism, you're looking at it in an unrighteous lens, as we see here in this current world. But the law is supposed to go forth out of Jerusalem, right? Which is the importance of, being made complete, right? After Yahushua returns, having that new body, having the laws written in our inward parts, okay? So that's in. We got but let's just get imperialism. We got let's get imperialism. A policy of extending countries' power and influence through diplomacy or military force, which it was never diplomatic. Okay? It was always by force and by propaganda. Okay? So you got that. So let's get back now. Now we ain't even got it. We got imperialism. Let me read 26 and 27 and make an attempt to get back on track, because we need to do a part 2 on antinomianism. All right. 26 and 27. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, right? And this is Yahweh Shai speaking, talking about how as you stay in line, you do what you're supposed to do, follow my ways, all right? And upon my return, though, ask of me, and I'll give the heathen for thine inheritance. Okay, that roughly paraphrased, but we'll get that in a second. I just want to touch on the point to where I mentioned there is an importance for being completely righteous in a new body, because we were supposed to be kings and priests on the earth. The nations were supposed to come to us and learn the ways of righteousness, and the earth would flourish. As of right now, as the wicked are in charge, the people mourn. Roughly paraphrase it again. So let's get a couple of precepts on that new body, that being completely righteous. So in a way that the new kingdom, or the return of Yahushua, will be an imperialist government. However, it will forward the way of righteousness, and everybody will thrive. After that, you get beat with a rod of iron, because you have to learn the ways, right? You have to put down the crab and the shrimp, and stay with sleep with other men's wives. Basically they have to learn the laws as we had to on this side. Hebrews 10. And there's so many precepts just hitting me all at once that I got to do this part too. Hebrews 10. And 16, this is the covenant that I will make with them after those days, saith the Lord. I will put my laws in their hearts and in their minds, and I will write them. In their sins and iniquities will I remember no more. Okay, so they putting those laws in our inward parts, meaning we can no longer go off. If you don't go off, you don't lose the land. All right, the covenant that was promised from Abraham to Isaac unto Jacob, right, was tied. We were tied to the land by that covenant. You mess up, you lose the land. And, you get cast out into these nations, and, to become bondmen and maidservants, which is, what happened. All right. It also speaks of this same thing in Jeremiah 31 and 31, to verse 34. Okay. And I mentioned about the law going forth out of Zion. That is in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah 2 and 3, straight to the point here. And many people shall go and say, come ye and let us go up to the mountain. All right, meaning the government. Mountains are governments, or places of rulerships, All right, mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. All right, what is going on out of Jerusalem right now? Complete and utter wickedness, rebellion. Is as Jezebel. All right. And then we need to talk about, he said Palestinian Jew. Okay. Now, here's some things you can go and look into on your own. First, let's go to Genesis 12. Genesis 12, we're going to read 1 through 7. Okay. Because we need to establish that land was inhabited by Hamites. Okay. Before the Ishmaelites took it over, after we were kicked out of the land. Not only after that rebellion in 70 AD, when we, under Pontius Pilate, we were crushed by the Romans, but also a couple of hundred years later under Emperor Hadrian. And you know what? I'm going to just tie that in to the antinomianism that we're going to do in part 2. I don't want to get into too much detail, but I just want to prove that land was the Hamites, all right? And how Emperor Hadrian renamed it Palestine, or Palestina, which is the Greek way of saying Phoenician, or Phoenice, or however you say, I can't remember. But that's just the Greek way of saying it. So he just reverted it back. Because remember, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, right? And then the Lord said, in the land of our captivity, fast forward, we will remember ourselves. We were supposed to completely lose our heritage and our ties to the land, not knowing who we were. And that happened over a span of hundreds of years. Okay? Gosh, yeah. I don't want to get into that in this video. I'm getting excited thinking about it because I want to bring a lot of this out. But I need to do it on my computer, not really on my phone. Anyway, Genesis 12. All right, now the Lord said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred and from thy father's house unto the land where I will show thee, and I will make thee a great nation. I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be blessed. All right. Abraham departed. We read verse 4. Okay. Verse 5. Took Sarah his wife. Okay. We went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. Okay. Verse 7 here, I'm going to fast forward. And Yahweh appeared unto Abram and said, unto thy seed will I give this land, and there builded he an altar unto Yahweh who appeared unto him. Now, those fake people over there now try to use that as their claim, not understanding you're not the people of the book. Okay? And that is why the Palestinians think that is, or the Ishmaelites think it's that land, because they have been there, since we've been kicked out after maybe 135 AD, completely removed ish. Don't quote me on that date. All right. Let me go back. Actually, I need 9 and 18. Because Canaan, who was Canaan? He was a son of Ham, right? And the sons of Noah, this is verse 9, chapter 9, verse 18, Genesis, that went forth out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham is the father of Canaan. So this was the Hamite land, right? Okay. At that point, at that time. And then it was given unto the children of Israel, which they go off, okay? Or we went off. Oh, let me fast forward. Because that's where 22, where it talks about the... No, it's not. Where does it say Phoenicia? Nope, Salakia. Anyway, so as you see, the land of Canaan, this was Hamite lands, right? Now, what we have is not in the scriptures, but after Rome established control over Judea in 6 AD, okay, around that time, because it was a prefect, or no, I'm sorry, it was a province. This was a province of Rome. So we are under Roman captivity then, even in the time of Yahushua, as we are in Rome 2.0 captivity now. And Salakia, I know I'm bouncing around here, but it's a lot to say in such a little bit, okay? But after Yahushua in Matthew 24 talked about the fall of our people, or the fall of Jerusalem, and basically I think about 70 years after his death, 70 to 74 AD, when Rome completely took it over and quelled a rebellion. They after that they renamed, or Slakia, Pontius Pilate didn't rename it. Fast forward, it was Emperor Hadrian. So let's go. Damn, man, Salakia. I'm trying to make it so it makes sense here. Give an accurate timeline, but that's why they say Palestinian Jew. Small, just to say, okay, after it was under Roman control, okay, we're gonna fast forward a couple of hundred years, all right. So 135 AD, Emperor Hadrian, as a punitive measure, right, tried to suppress us and suppress our heritage and wipe away our ties to the Holy Land. He renamed it Palestinia. So, okay, as we went through the timeline, first it belonged to the Hamites, then it belonged to us, given by the decree of Yahweh, and then we went off and were wiped out of that land, as prophecy said, and then the Ishmaelites moved in there and did what they did. So that is why most people who don't have a biblical understanding will say that so-called Jesus was a Palestinian Jew. There was Judea. It was called Judea and renamed by Emperor Hadrian. Okay? All right. Hopefully you're sticking with me. Let's see what else he got to say. And then I think we will have to cut it after. I'll let this play just a little bit more, but I'm going to have to cut it. I'm running out of time.
That means he had dark skin, dark hair, and Semitic features. The people of that region didn't look like Renaissance art models from Florence. It also means that he was 5'5" to 5'7" in height, average for the time, but not exactly a towering Viking with a CrossFit physique. It also means that he was dressed like a Galilean peasant. Tunic, sandals, no pristine robes, no European facial structures.
Yeah, I mean, most of that, I don't know about the height. We don't know. I know we were much taller back then than we are now, on average.
And let's be clear, the Bible never describes Jesus' physical appearance. The closest we get is Isaiah 53:2, which explicitly states, "He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him." So let's just say he wasn't an Abercrombie model.
All right, but it tells you he was dark-skinned, and you can go in and make some contextual relations here, because we understand as he was a baby, to flee from being killed by Herod, they fled into Egypt, right, where other dark-skinned people were. All right, there are plenty of instances we can look into to show that he was a dark-skinned man looking like what the so-called black man would look today. Okay, so let me give you rename Judea. Let me make sure I got the dates right. Emperor Hadrian renamed the Roman province of Judea to Syria Palestina, likely around 135 Common Era, after suppressing the Bar Kokhba revolt, aiming to erase the Israelite association with the land. Okay, so that's another thing we need to go into. Not only, actually a three-part. We'll talk about antinomianism, and then we'll actually go into this revolt here, the Bar Kokhba revolt. Okay, the renaming. Following the suppression of the revolt, the Roman authorities led by Emperor Hadrian renamed the province of Judea to Syria Palestina, or Palestinian Syria. Purpose of the renaming. The renaming was likely intended as a punishment and a way to erase the Israelite association with the land and its people. Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, right? Ain't that what it says in the book of Psalms? And this was not something that was just done over a couple of days. This was captivity to captivity, a little bit by little bit, being stripped away as a generation, from generation to generation, till they didn't know who they were. And then you fast forward up until now, and the scriptures tell you, in the land of their captivity, which this is here and now, they shall remember themselves. So anybody saying that they knew who they were all along, you're a liar. And you don't fit the scriptures. Oh yeah, we definitely, Aelia Capitolina, so capital city of it, I think, because a lot of these emperors, if I'm reading this down here, a lot of these emperors had patron gods to their family. All right, Hadrian also founded the city of Aelia Capitolina on the ruins of Jerusalem, further distancing the area from its heritage, establishing a Roman colony with a pagan character. So you see, right here, this kind of went a different way than I wanted it to go. But hey, this all with the Spirit, and I'm going to actually break this up into a couple of parts so we can stick to a certain point here. So with that being said, forgive me for jumping around here. I pray that you are edified, but look at this as an overview on a future maybe 2 or 3 part series that we're going to do, going into antinomianism, going into how Hadrian went in and pretty much suppressed our heritage, okay, and proving how the scriptures speak of this. All right, so with that being said, man, I pray that you're edified.